The long night has come. The system's commonwealth, the greatest civilization in history, has fallen. But now, one ship, one crew have vowed to drive back the night and rekindle the light of civilization. On the starship Andromeda, hope lives again.
Hello, friends, and welcome to this currently unnamed podcast. My name is Wib, and I am joined by my good friend Longfang.
Hello,
Say
everyone.
hello, Longfang.
I am saying hello right now in front of you because I am not good at podcasting.
That is totally fine. That's what this podcast is here for everyone to figure out how podcasts work.
Yes, also, it's a pilot episode. We're going to fuck up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, technically, I've done over 100 podcasts, so I should know what I'm doing, but also I've not been...
Does anyone really know what they're doing?
I mean...
Ever?
Like, are we talking in a general sense here, like outside of podcasting? Because basically everyone's...
in a general philosophical sense, does anyone really know what they're doing?
No, we're all faking it till we hope we make it.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
Exactly.
But the point is that I probably should know what I'm doing a lot more than I do. But I think because I've not been the person that does the introductions or anything on a podcast before, I'm already feeling out of my depth. But
it's fine. We're going to talk about sci-fi. It'll be fine.
Yeah, this podcast's about science fiction, by the way.
Not necessarily good science fiction.
Oh, I mean, definitely not. So, if you don't know who I am Wib. I'm part of Snipe and Wib, who do Warhammer stuff, and I'm also on Twitter talking shit about nonsense a lot. And Longfang, who are you?
I am a grumpy-ass Scotsman who lives in his room at all times and is a fucking hermit. But aside from that, I stream on Twitch and also appear in a couple of Snipe and Wib videos.
You do indeed.
Yes.
So what we're doing is we are going to use this podcast to go through episodes or movies that are of a science fiction bent.
Yes.
That should be episodes of shows of a science fiction bent. And we're going to talk about them because we're both big fans of science fiction, and when we chat, that tends to be what we talk about a lot.
There has been many streams where it's just the two of us talking and it ends up with us talking about Star Trek or like spaceship designs for a while, and yeah. It's
a thing. We are not going to be talking about one of those good sci-fis today.
Oh no.
We are going to be talking about Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. Mm-hmm. That is the correct response. Just a kind of like sniff and like, yeah. Would you like to tell the dear listener all about Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda?
Now, actually, one funny thing that I need to say now, I remember it being shown as Major Roddenberry's Andromeda back in the day. For some reason, that sticks in my head.
Actually, now you say that, I do have some recollection of that being used in some marketing.
Yeah, very strange.
But I mean, she was heavily involved in it.
Yeah, she was executive producer, so yeah. But that's really interesting. But yeah, Andromeda is a sci-fi program where a captain of a lovely starship owned by is part of the Commonwealth. Well, they're the fucking Federation, but
yeah, the Systems Commonwealth.
Yes, gets trapped in a black hole on the event horizon of it, and is stuck in time for 300 years. And when he comes out of the black hole with the ship, the Commonwealth is dead. The universe has changed, and Captain Dylan Hunt takes it upon himself to remake the Commonwealth.
Yeah, the whole thing was taken from basically a concept that was written by Gene Roddenberry.
Mm-hmm.
But like it came out in the year 2000, so it was like 9 years after his death.
Yes.
So presumably they just rifled through his notes and found like a concept. And
it's very much like a Lovecraft thing where they keep just finding random notes he had.
If I remember rightly, at the time, because I was a very smart, I guess, 14-year-old.
Yes.
That took me way too long to work out how old I was in the year 2000. I was I remember joking about it that presumably they just found like a note left on his fridge, and just decided that was what they were going to base it on.
Yep.
And yeah, it went for 5 seasons, despite not being very good.
Which is kind of incredible when you consider how many shows with a lot of promise nowadays just get shut down after like 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating thing to consider, because I know it was on, I can't remember what station it was originally shown on, but it eventually ended up as like a sci-fi channel, and this is when it was still sci-fi and not sci-fi, the later spelling of it, which is still said sci-fi.
Not Sharknado sci-fi at this point.
Not Sharknado sci-fi, no. I don't know if old sci-fi was better, but it was different.
Yeah, honestly, I remember watching that channel, and yet I can't remember a single thing I watched on it.
I'm sure I saw some episodes of Lex on it once.
That wouldn't surprise me.
That's definitely a topic for a future episode.
They showed like Space Above and Beyond and
oh shit,
Sequest and shit, maybe.
I actually looked up earlier, and I stumbled across Earth Final Conflict when I was researching, doing a bit of research on this, which I completely forgotten was another Gene Roddenberry thing.
Oh, was it? Huh.
Yeah. Although I think in my head I do get it mixed up with Space Above and Beyond, because I just have vague recollections of them,
Yes. Yeah, it's totally vague. I don't remember anything about them other than I think an alien maybe that was in it. But that might have been from another fucking show, because they all blend together.
Yeah, there's like a certain strata of sci-fi show that
specifically in the 90s into the 2000s.
On the outskirts of it, you've got things like Space Precinct.
Yep.
And then you go balls deep, and then you are into your Space Above and Beyonds and stuff like that. Of just that stuff that you go, oh yeah, I remember that. Can I get that on DVD cheap? I'm interested. Oh no. Okay. It tends to work like that. But yeah.
You'd think with all these nice streaming platforms we have nowadays it would be there, but no.
Funny you should say that, because there's a bit of a problem with the version of Andromeda that is on Amazon Prime, isn't there?
Yes, there is. The first 2 episodes are in the wrong order.
Yeah. They also have the wrong names because of that.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. The first episode is called Under the Night, but the episode on Prime is called An Affirming Flame, and the episodes are the other way around. So it was really funny when I booted it up to watch it so I could take notes for this, and the first thing I'm greeted with was previously on Andromeda, and I'm like, this is episode 1?
Not only previously on Andromeda, but with narration.
Yeah.
Which is really weird.
It's a whole thing.
It's like a fucking intro to a Dragon Ball episode or something. It's so strange.
But yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the introductory episodes of the show, the first 2, basically do a big run through of what happens and talk about it, and then at the end we'll discuss what we think about it.
Yes. Now let me grab my notes for 1 second, because there's an important thing at the very start of this episode, which is a quote from someone that I forgot to attribute it to.
Yes, I have got the quote in front of me right now.
Oh, do you want to read it then?
I can do. So. The first episode, which is called, as I said earlier, it's called Under the Night, opens with a quote, because each episode of Andromeda opens with a quote, which, I think they all do. Everyone I've seen does, but I've not watched all of them because I'm not a pervert. I don't know why I'm suggesting you.
Is that like you've got some sort of fetish for embarrassment, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
But all of them open with a quote. I actually think this is a really cool idea. They all open with a in-universe fake quote about history.
It is a very interesting idea.
And the first one opens with the quote, "If the Commonwealth's High Guard had a weakness, it was this. Its officers were too competent, too caring, and too brave." And also their dicks were way too big. That was the big problem.
They were just that damn good that they were shit.
This is a reoccurring theme that starts, first, second of the show, which is the High Guard are the military of the system's Commonwealth. Just kind of put that out there. And the Commonwealth and the High Guard are presented as being these whiter than white people and an organization, and quite frankly, the more you learn about them, the more you're sure that it's all lies. And as far as I'm aware, it plays it straight through the entire series.
There is some things about armaments we will talk about later in the second episode part.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So
the best way to sorry, just to interrupt. The best way to think about the Commonwealth is if you took the Federation and Starfleet, but turned Starfleet's destructive power up to 20, and you kind of have the Commonwealth.
A little bit, but then also pretended that they were all perfect choir boys.
Yes.
Oh my god, a character like Cisco would not survive in the Commonwealth.
No.
Anyway, let's get to the actual episode proper. So, the episode opens on the Andromeda Ascendant, which is I've already forgotten the fucking name of it. It's got an absurdly
a glorious something, was it?
A glorious Heritage class starship.
There we go.
It's a weird looking thing.
Yes, that ship is weird. I don't know how to describe it. It's got a hull, but then it's just a mess of pylons.
It reminds me a little bit of the Liberator from Blake 7, in that you could accidentally film it going backwards and no one would have noticed.
God, you're totally right. You're absolutely right.
If you don't know, in the British sci-fi show Blake 7, the ship was accidentally filmed going the other way, and they were like, it's fine, and then they just kept it like that. So yeah, it was supposed to be different to how it always was. It's a thing. Yeah. Anyway, so on board the Andromeda Ascendant, which is this big warship, everyone is running about, getting to their stations. It's like battle stations, and we meet our... I don't want to call him a protagonist because it gives him too many airs and graces, but the character that we're stuck with, which is a character called Dylan Hunt,
yes,
who is played by Kevin Sorbo, who you may know as Hercules from the 90s TV show, and is a bastard in real life, but we won't talk too much.
That part out the way first. He's a bit of an arsehole in real life.
Yeah, but we won't dwell on that because his performance and everything about him is more ridiculous anyway, so
yeah.
But so also fun thing, Dylan Hunt, his name was also used by Gene Roddenberry in 2 pilots he made in the 70s, called Genesis 2 and Planet Earth.
Oh, so this is just a name that he's had in his head for years that he just wanted to get somewhere.
Yeah, evidently.
And it could be that Major Roddenberry, being executive producer, just decided, we'll use that name here.
Yeah,
or it's in his notes, or it's like, what if it's just like any story draft he has, he just used that name.
This is generic man name.
Yes.
Who knows? So we're introduced to him. Okay. The very start of this first episode is going to take a while to get through because there's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot of things going on.
So he jumps down, like there's a set of ladders that go between multiple decks, and he just jumps down the hole with the worst green screen effect. I mean, it was made in the year 2000, so
it was made in the year 2000, and it was also cheap.
And it's a made for TV sci-fi level quality of how someone would look if they were falling down what must be like 100 fucking stories.
Yep.
And he just kind of slowly, awkwardly, falls down this hole, doesn't catch himself on the edge or anything, and then activates an anti-grav harness right at the end so he can get to the bottom really quick. Mm-hmm. And then he is chastised by the ship's computer.
The ship's AI,
the ship's AI, who is also called Andromeda,
Yes.
So there is a distinction between the ship Andromeda and the AI Andromeda.
Yes.
Who is like there is an actress playing her.
I've forgotten. Was it Lexa Doig? Something like that?
I'm bad at remembering names,
I am
so maybe
terrible
that
at
can be
names.
your job on this. Can be your job on the podcast, is remembering
fuck.
all the actors' names that I forget.
Continue. I'm going to look this up because I feel bad if I got the name wrong.
But yeah, there is a distinction, and later on, there's also a physical manifestation of this
Yes.
this visualization, which is also a distinct entity. So at that point, there's like when someone says
Yeah.
Andromeda, they could mean the ship, the AI, or the avatar of the AI.
Yes.
Or they tend to call the avatar Romy, which is
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I remember that. But also, it's Lexa Doig. Who has been in a ton of these sort of shows, actually.
yeah.
This cast is a lot of people who have been in these sort of shows.
That's true. Anyway, so there's a whole it's a whole weapons drill going on, and Dylan meets up with his first officer, who is a guy called Rade, who is very annoyed that the drill is not going well enough.
Yes. And also has spikes in his arms. They do, I'm very sure, give you a good camera angle to show that.
Yes, because he is a Nietzschean, which I just want to put out there is an alien. Well, it's not an alien race, but they're a race within Andromeda that I had to copy and paste their name every time I mentioned it in my notes.
Yeah, I just started writing down like niche and then just left it. Like I know what that means. It's fine.
Would you like to explain what Nietzscheans are?
Okay. So to explain what Nietzscheans are, we need to have a talk about eugenics.
Start as we mean to go on.
Eugenics being the idea that selective breeding equals a better human, blah, 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 blah. Nietzscheans are basically based on that, but with a little bit of genetic tinkering as well.
Yeah, they're very, very into the works of Friedrich
Ayn
Nietzsche.
Rand and Nietzsche.
Yeah, hence the name Nietzschean.
Yep.
They like to occasionally quote him as well.
It's not a clever name.
No, it's not. And yeah,
They're I hate using the term, but they are effectively meant to be the Ubermensch.
kinda.
And also have spikes in their forearms.
Don't you know? That's how we know that they're the superior humans, because they have spikes in their arms, so they look
And
like.
don't value lives because survival is what's important. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, they're awful.
Nietzscheans don't believe in optimism is another thing I wrote down from that guy.
Yes, I think that's like the third line he says.
Yes.
But anyway, Nietzsche. So this first officer is one of these genetically engineered
Superhuman badasses.
superhumans who are like pragmatic to a point of horrifyingness.
Yes.
Just Captain Eugenics. Well, First Officer Eugenics, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's very annoyed because the drill for everyone to get to their battle stations wasn't quite good enough. One of the random gunners says, "Oh, we suck," and then Dylan pats him on the shoulder, which I think is supposed to be reassuring, but I interpreted it as like, "Sure do, pal, we sure do."
Yeah, like... I'm going to get this out of the way now. Kevin Sorbo's acting is...
Not good?
I was going to put it more nicely than that. It's functional. However, anytime he tries to look like happy or like encouraging, he just looks like a smug prick.
I think the big problem here is that a large portion of the show is based on the idea that people would side with Kevin Sorbo. And I have this natural aversion to him, as I hope most people do.
I genuinely think that... I was going to say this later on, like at the end, but he's not a good fit for this character.
No, I don't think so either. There's just it just never really works.
Yeah.
But anyway, we go on, and Rade and Dylan have a bit of a conversation. Basically, it's just exposition to show that they're really super good friends because Rade is going to be his best man at his wedding.
Yes.
He says the line, "I'm glad you're getting married. Though not properly engineered, your genes are sound. You should reproduce." So that should give you an idea of Nietzscheans and how we're supposed to interpret them.
Yep.
They're horrifying.
They are very much about superior genes and stuff like that, and it's like,
Yeah. But, God, we spent far too long on, like, the first 2 minutes of the show. Okay.
There's a lot going on in these first 2 minutes because they're laying down a lot of groundwork very quickly.
That's true. But we suddenly get a distress call from an inhabited planet who has got a rogue black hole.
Which is a
Don't
thing
ask
that
me how that
exists.
happens, but...
Yes.
It's apparently just a thing. A black hole can just appear, and that's a bad problem. So Andromeda goes to respond to it. They enter Slipstream, which is their version of, like, hyperdrive or warp or what have you.
Piloted, I might add.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'd say it's a bit of a mix between, like, a Dune / 40K style, like, warp navigation and, like, hyperspace from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Apparently, robots can't do it. I don't think it's mentioned in the earlier episodes. Like, a machine can't do it because it needs to have, like, an organic person, navigate. Okay. I think they're hinting at like, a more kind of an almost spiritual aspect to it.
Yeah.
But
also, there's the pilot of the ship who is getting us through slipspace is an insect person.
Yes, called Refractions of Dawn.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that got the name.
It's a really cool name.
Yes.
Do you want to know what makes it less cool?
The suit.
Oh, the suit. I think the suit's, like, not too bad, but it is really blatantly a person in a suit.
It's really cheap. Much like the androids walking around, really cheap.
Oh yeah, there's robots walking around and they look terrible.
Yeah.
The bug is a part of a race called the Than-3 Cull, and their names are all haikus.
Oh.
Would you like to know Refraction's full name?
Oh God.
Refractions of Dawn, Crimson First Light Glistening, Dewdrops Ignited.
Oh, fancy.
That's their full name. I don't know where it ever says this, because spoilers, they don't last very long. I presume it's in one of the novels, because there's Andromeda novels, did you know?
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I know the full name was said in, like, a Q&A panel or an interview somewhere. Mm-hmm. That's where that came from. But I think the whole thing of them being in haikus and how it all works, because, like, I don't want to get into it because it's very silly, but, like, even her name is, like, referenced as it's referencing something within, like, the extended canon. Like,
Jesus Christ.
It's a whole thing.
We're getting into Star Wars Expanded Universe here.
Yeah. Also, though I just referred to them as a she, they don't really have, like, a binary gender thing going on. They're all hermaphrodites.
Yes.
They're all male and female. Well, that's how it's worded on the wiki, anyway.
Yeah, we had to go wiki diving for some. Wib went wiki diving. I woke up late today and crammed both episodes of Andromeda as quickly as I could.
Cramming it at the last minute and just not thinking about Andromeda more than you need to is really the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they end up on the other side of the slipstream, and there's 10,000 ships there. The Singularity, this rogue black hole, is there, so there is, like, there's presumably actual danger to this planet, which is supposed to be inhabited.
Yeah, this is an interesting point where it could have been the black hole didn't exist, but it kind of needs to exist for the story to work. 10,000 ships is a lot, by the way. Yeah.
So they're ready to take on board refugees, but it's a trap. Andromeda does actually say it's a trap.
Yeah, I did have that written down in all caps as well.
And then we get the theme tune pop up, which is by, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but Alex Lifeson? From Rush.
Right.
Yeah, he He wrote the theme tune, which is not good.
No, but that's awesome.
But it's a fun little thing.
Yeah.
Its theme tune reminds me of there's a lot of like that sort of era of sci-fi and stuff that didn't do the big orchestral thing like Star Trek did.
Yeah.
You tended to get these kind of generic like electronic things, and like at its best end you get stuff like Farscape's one, which is at least really weird, so you remember it.
Yeah.
But it's not really got a tune you can hum, you know. And
there's never a tune to it. It's just stuff.
Yeah, and this is sort of in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, the trap, it was set by the Nietzscheans, because shock horror, it turns out that these people who despise weakness and are really pragmatic about literally everything they do to a point of appearing completely cold might betray you at some point. Shock horror. So they go into battle mode, drones are deployed, Rade suggests using Nova bombs, which is the first little reference to them. Dylan says no, because they're very big bombs, as we find out later.
I believe he does point out that's an inhabited planet, which gives you an idea of what Nova bombs do if he's worried about a planet there.
Yeah. Rade suggests that he and all of the Nietzscheans get sent to the brig on the basis of, like, you know, he's like, well, you should send us. Like, you can't trust any of us. Like, that's just the pragmatic thing to do. And Dylan's like, okay, yeah, fair. And so they're all sent to the brig, apparently. Yes. You only see Rade be taken because I guess no one else could be bothered to go into makeup to have those arm things attached.
Couple of things to note. One, the intro, as we said, with the theme and everything, once we get it, kind of spoils the cast that we're getting before we fucking meet them.
It does. This would have been a great time to have the soft intro that you sometimes get in a first episode, where it just, like, say, plays a little refrain from it and then shows the logo or whatever, and that's all it shows in episode 1. That would be a good time for that. Mm-hmm. But no, it gives us the entire synopsis of what happens in the plot.
Also, do you think that Rade was kind of poised to be a bit of a Spock for a while? He's played very emotionless and stoic for quite a while before things kick off.
He is, and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that wants to get into wants to get balls deep into Andromeda if they hear us complaining about it and go, I want to watch this. Mm-hmm. He does come back. I don't know the context, but he is, like, becomes part of the cast for, like, several seasons, apparently.
Okay.
I don't know if he's, like, main cast or if he's, like reoccurring character level. But he becomes a character in the show again.
Mm-hmm. Can we mention the terrible alien makeup at this point?
Oh, do you mean, like, there's a weird walrus person?
Yeah.
Who looks like he
has plasticine on his face?
It does look like the general structure of his mask was made by nursery children with papier-mâché.
Yeah.
And I do actually think there's actually a good reason for some of this stuff. Because this would have been around the time that a lot of shows were transferring from standard definition to high definition.
Yes.
And I think
agree there.
I think that might be some of the problem with that. That stuff that it previously probably would have been okay. Like, if you'd have seen... I mean, it was the designs were still not great, but I think if you'd have seen the quality of it in, say, Star Trek TNG or DS9 or what have you, I think it would have looked fine.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't have...
That's a very good point I didn't think about until you mentioned it there, that people are noticing this more and more in, like, Blu-ray transfers stuff as well. The details, and you go, oh no...
It's like I never, when watching, again, TNG, like, when watching that as a kid, I never noticed, like, seams on makeup or anything on, like, a little beat-up CRT, whereas you watch them now on the nice, like, digital transfers of them, which is still not, like, high definition, but you can start to see, I can totally see the lines where Worf's, like, headpiece attaches,
Especially early on, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or, like, the edges around Odo's mouth in DS9.
Yeah.
That's a pretty...
Yeah. How do you feel about the uniforms, by the way?
They exist.
Were they trying to go for the pleather look, do you think?
I think they were trying to go for, like, fancy leather jacket, but
Again,
landed at pleather.
Might have looked better in standard definition, but who knows?
Possibly. I think it's just one of those things where it's, they don't look super great.
No.
But I think, as far as I remember, I think the uniforms do undergo several iterations.
I would imagine they would, yeah.
Which is, to be fair, that tends to happen with a lot of sci-fi shows, is they'll design these uniforms and then over time they're like, these actually suck to move around in, so like let's change them.
Star Trek.
Yeah, I don't mean to reference everything back to Star Trek, but you know, it's always good. It has an example of everything in it.
Yeah,
because
like
it's been gone
Star Trek is like the flagship of long-running TV shows about sci-fi.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to come up because they've had all the pitfalls and weirdness and bullshit before. So yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, the Andromeda's being attacked by 10,000 ships. It's going very badly. Mm-hmm. Things are exploding. So the order to abandon ship is given. Everyone leaves except for Dylan and Dawn, the bug person.
Yes.
Who's like, no, I refuse to leave. And so they stay with Dylan. Yes. Rade escapes from the guards who are guarding him.
Very easily, I might add.
Very easily by stabbing them with his arm blades.
Yes.
Which seems very, very good. Mm-hmm. And it is decided to fly Andromeda into the black hole.
Because they cannot deal with all the firepower coming down on it.
Because they're not going to get away. Yeah. And I guess they go, well, we might as well see what happens. But at that point, Rade shows up on the bridge, shoots Dawn. So yeah, I hope you weren't too invested in bug person.
I have literally written insect friend no.
I mean, the dialogue written for them was, I've not mentioned it, but it was pretty unbearable. So, you know...
The dialogue written for most characters is pretty unbearable.
But anyway, Rade explains what the whole betrayal was about. Basically, they've been planning for ages to basically collapse, fight the Commonwealth because the Commonwealth is weak. They make treaties with these races that are evil rather than just eradicate them. The race that is mentioned specifically is a race called the Magog, who are a whole thing. To put it simply, they are a race of bat people.
Yes.
Who eat other sentient beings and they reproduce in the same kind of manner as a xenomorph.
Yeah, that's putting it way better than I would have, so yeah, okay, I was going to be a bit more blunt about it.
Although they don't word it quite as delicately as I did when Rade describes it.
And this strikes me as very much the Nietzscheans want revenge on the Magog, and they're pissed off that the Commonwealth made a treaty rather than eradicated the species.
Yes, that they tried to make peace. Again, it gets into some weird territory when other things are kind of talked about later, but we'll get to that at the end.
Okay.
But yeah, there's it's a whole conspiracy they've been working out for ages. Like the Nietzscheans are all like kind of on the same page to rebel. It's a whole thing. Mm-hmm. And the Commonwealth, because they're very thick, I guess, didn't notice. Yeah.
The Commonwealth didn't notice somehow that the Nietzscheans had created 10,000 fucking ships out of nowhere. Yep, good job.
I mean, I presume they're just ships they just had, maybe?
No, I think it's actually mentioned how did they produce this many ships.
Actually, shit, no, yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, no, so yeah, it's just bad writing.
Yeah, it's just bad writing.
I mean, I guess, to be fair, space is very big. It's quite easy to hide things in it.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's functionally infinite, so, as well as possibly actually infinite. Space is weird, and it's scary when you think about it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
prepare for fight scene.
We then get a fight scene which initiates when Dylan activates his rod, which is as phallic as I made it sound there. They have these like the weapon that the High Guard carry is like these staffs that collapse down into like a short kind of stick.
It looks like a lightsaber hilt.
That's better than what I think it looks like, because it's got what looks like it's got a bright red head of a penis on it.
I know.
It's very phallic, and they extend to become a full-size staff for like melee
it's
fighting.
also a blaster, and it does a lot of jobs apparently.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the sonic screwdriver, yet somehow more phallic.
Wow. You put it like that.
And Dylan programs his to explode, presumably because the writers have watched many episodes of Star Trek where that happened. And he throws it into the center of the thing, which explodes, meaning that they both, lose their guns, and then they start fighting.
Yes.
I'll give them credit. It's better than Star Trek fighting of the era.
Okay, I was gonna add to this as well. And that the fight choreography's pretty good for like a made-for-TV show. The camera work is fucking awful.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair.
Like the actual stuff when you get clips of like a steady shot for a second of the fight, it looks pretty alright, and then the camera's just doing fucking cuts constantly.
Yeah, it goes a bit nuts.
Yeah, especially when it comes to time dilations and fucking
because
suddenly Dylan Hunt's doing a spring off the wall.
Yeah. Because as they get close to the black hole, time starts, distorting, and things get slower, and then you have to deal with more fight scene that's done entirely in slow motion. So that's a thing.
And I did have a note here saying slow motion never looks good.
I'm not sure about that. This type of slow motion never looks good.
I think actually made for TV slow motion never looks good. Because they probably don't have the cameras that a feature film would have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're losing frames effectively, like when you do that stuff a lot of the time. But anyway, in slow motion, they both there's like a lull in the fighting, and they both run to get guns. Well, I say guns, I mean penis sticks.
God damn.
They both grab one, they both take a few shots at each other, miss, and then whilst they're both diving through the air like big heroic
This is what
big
I meant
men.
about slow-mo looking bad. It's always the dives.
And then Dylan finally lands a shot on Rade, and
Right in the chest.
He dies.
He dies.
Going, I'm proud of you. Yeah.
Because you did big murder.
Because you were able to murder me. And then
Cut to
time freezes.
Yes. Cut to a fucking mole man.
Yes. We cut to a new ship called the Eureka Maru, which is a fucking name, I guess.
Yep.
It's like this it's a beat up hunk of shit that makes like the roughest era of the Millennium Falcon look like
Pristine.
a Naboo fucking like cruiser.
Where have we heard the name Maru come up before?
That sounds familiar.
The Kobayashi Maru.
Oh shit, yeah. Oh Jesus. I wonder if that's a reference or if it's just a thing.
It may just be a thing, I don't know. I haven't looked into the history of it. It's just, it hit me as soon as I heard it. I went, wait a fucking minute.
And so we're introduced to a crew who are like salvagers who have come and like salvage the Andromeda.
Mm-hmm. A very motley crew. I've got some initial things that I've written here. We have Harper, who is the loudmouth engineer tech guy.
And a walking rash.
I literally hit my one note on him as has a rash.
Yeah, yes.
Trans Gemini, the purpley coloured lady. Her character...
Yes, Trans is a...
She appears to be her character's bubbly pixie.
Kinda, yeah.
And has a tail. Like an actual devil tail as well. It's got the fucking prong at the end.
Yeah.
Captain Valentine, who is no-nonsense captain lady.
Yep.
And Rev Bem, a Magog.
Yes.
Who might actually be an interesting character. Holy shit.
Yeah, he's there's like two characters that I actually quite like in the show. Rev is one of them, because he is one of this like murderous, like, awful faction. I hate to say race, because then it underlines how
but
sci-fi and fantasy can be about this stuff.
The writing clearly says that the Magog are fucking horrific monsters and completely evil, and Rev hates that about his people.
He's basically found religion. He's a wayist.
A wayist, yes.
Yes, and so the Rev actually does mean reverend, like, because he does have a full name, which I've never heard in the show, but I read it on Wikipedia and I have already forgot it.
Fair enough.
But so it doesn't matter.
How's Rev's
but there is
makeup?
another Okay, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Rev's makeup, he looks like a bat. Well, if you took a Man-Bat from Batman...
Oh god, you're not wrong.
And then you shaved your pubic hair and then stuck it to his face.
It does kind of look like the facial hair on him does kind of look like a fucking Brillo pad. Like, I see what you're going for, and it's cool, but also you might not have had the budget to make it work.
I have often referred to the Magog as pube bats.
I know.
When describing the series to people.
Because he's completely covered in hair, by the way.
Yeah, he's a very hairy man. It's a thing. You are missing the other character that's there, which is Gerontex.
The Mole Man.
Yeah, I thought more rat.
I don't know. The really pointed nose makes me think mole.
I actually get that. The makeup on him is fucking terrible.
Yes, and all of his lines are ADR'd, presumably because they couldn't fucking talk with all of it on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ADR.
He's got like a big like 70s medallion as well. Which is
funny. He's completely coded to be that sleazy dude, isn't he? Like, frilly cuffs on his jacket and Jesus Christ. The actor clearly looked like he was having a fun time a lot of it because he's really going nuts with it. But oh Jesus Christ.
Interestingly, the character does come back in like later on, and they had a complete rehaul of his makeup. And the basic design is still kind of bad, but like the actual how well it's put together is so much better. Like it's one of those things.
Okay, I genuinely like to hear stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like it did get the makeup did get better as the show went on. And yeah, he's like hired the crew of the Maru, which is everyone else, to go and salvage the Andromeda.
Yep, which is sitting in this black hole for 300 years.
Yes. So Gerontex, they need to go close to the black hole, so like a part of the big cargo bit of the ship is jettisoned.
Yeah, it's very much like a space trucker thing where you've got an entire cargo compartment that can be jettisoned.
Yeah, but before that happens, he goes. Gerontex goes and like opens a chest that's got you would see an arm come out of that's got a Nietzschean in it.
Yep, there's arm spikes. Oh no! It's a bit early in the show to make this like a big fucking deal.
Yeah. So they go in, they pull out the Andromeda with grappling hooks. There's a bunch of drama about it, but it's not really interesting or important.
No.
Time returns on the Andromeda, and Andromeda, the AI, informs Dylan that yes, 300 years have passed. So
everyone and everything we know is dead.
So that's a bad
Kevin
time.
Sorbo's expression can best be summed up by someone is eating my sandwich in front of me.
That is equal horror to him.
Yeah, I can't act, so I'm not going to give him too much shit, but...
Oh no, he's a shithead. You can give him as much shit as you want.
He's not great.
He's not great.
I think he was good in Hercules because Hercules was a dumb fucking show and everyone knew it.
I think that's it. This requires a little bit more of him than Hercules did.
It needs more gravitas.
Yeah. This is the sort of show, if you went by the same kind of casting ideas that they did for Star Trek, you would have ended up with probably the right kind of characters. A charismatic kind of.
Do you know the first person that comes to mind for like 2000 sci-fi is the guy that plays Crichton in Farscape?
Oh, Ben Browder?
Yes.
I think. Yeah, actually, he probably could have pulled it off.
Because he's also can be a sarky prick, which is just about the attitude you need at times.
But honestly, I'm much happier that he was in Farscape instead, which is a much better show.
Totally, but like...
we should totally do something with... So I was going to say, we should totally do something with Farscape.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because Farscape is great. But anyway, Jesus Christ. Okay, let's try and get through this first episode.
We're almost through it.
Okay. So at this point, the Maru comes aboard Andromeda, because it's small, and the Andromeda is huge.
Yeah, it actually gets into a docking bay. Or into an actual hangar, I come to think of it.
Yeah. And they start messing with it.
Rev Bem and Captain Valentine are now clearly the mum and dad of the ship.
Very much. Very, very
like,
much.
I was expecting Rev to say he had sandwiches ready for everyone.
Rev is totally the character that should be wearing, like, a bum bag. That's got, like, everyone's...
Fanny pack for non-Brits.
Yes, that's got, like, some paracetamol in it, some wet wipes.
Yep,
you know. Yep. That's my headcanon now, is that he is always wearing a bum bag.
By the way, these, like, space pressure suit, oxygen suit thingies that they're all wearing, other than Rev, are real cheap, other than Captain Valentine's one.
Oh, yeah, she gets a good one and everyone else gets the shit tier ones.
Yeah, and Rev has goggles and a face mask, which is just an oxygen breather.
He's just apparently fine.
Yeah.
I presume because they were like, we can't make a suit that fits over his existing suit.
Yeah.
Which is fair, honestly. But anyway, they come aboard and they start messing with systems. So, Andromeda notices and it's like, oh wow, I've lost control of some things because someone's rewiring me. And so the crew gain access to, like, open up the doors, and they start wandering around the Andromeda, finding big, impressive things like a whole hydroponics garden and some truly terrible CGI robots that look like they come from Botsmaster.
I do have noted here, in all caps, Andromeda has mechs. Like, big blue fucking mechs right there.
And they do look like they come from, like, a 90s video game.
It's oh god, I can't even think of Mech Warrior style stuff, almost.
Yeah, like that, but if the designs weren't good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like, I don't mean to be, like, constantly mean, but, like...
No, I'm trying to find good points about the show, but Jesus Christ, his presentation isn't great.
There's especially early Andromeda, because a lot of elements do improve over time from what I can understand, and from the little bits I've seen. But it is like no one thing is the problem. It's like an amalgam of lots of little issues, which anyone individually wouldn't be a bad thing. Like the alien designs aren't super great, and like I felt that way about Farscape. Like the alien designs were often not super great, but they were really well done ideas that I didn't think worked. As
sci-fi fans, we're used to, especially when it comes to TV sci-fi like Doctor Who and shit, we're used to special effects and shit not being great, and we can deal with that. But it's things being compounded on top of each other, it gets bad.
Yeah, basically. Anyway, whilst Harper's kind of futzing around, he's the engineer guy who's a walking rash, in case you forget.
Yes.
Dylan shows up on him, gets out his phallic staff.
Yes.
And trips him up, basically saying, "What the hell are you doing on my ship?"
More terrible editing for this scene.
Yeah. And Harper tells him that the Commonwealth is gone. Like, it disappeared in a war with the Nietzscheans, 300 years ago. So... basically, Dylan was there for the start of the war that ended his civilization. So that's cool. It then cuts to a scene where Dylan is now just talking to Andromeda. He just left Harper because Harper goes.
There's a weird fucking dirty cut here where I think there should have been a scene of maybe him giving him like a little taser shot with his staff to knock him out or something. Yeah,
or maybe saying, "I've got to go and think about this" or something. It does feel like there's a line that was cut maybe at some point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And it talks about how the Commonwealth hasn't fought a war in 1,000 years. And I'm just sitting there going like, you explicitly state that you have a gigantic military force, which is well trained, like this standing army with just a little bit of spoilers for later, but like these Nova bombs, which Andromeda has 40 of, it's just its standard complement to have 40 of these.
They are noted as sun killers.
Yeah, they are. They destroy suns. That's their function. Like, so I don't believe that they have not fought a war in 1,000 years. I have my theory. I'll get to that.
Okay.
Harper, who was just let go apparently, goes back to his crew, where he says, and I quote, "He's huge, like some kind of Greek god or something."
Both of us had written down this quote, because Jesus fucking Christ, did you know this guy played Hercules? Fuck off.
Also, I was sitting there going, like, I looked it up, I was like Kevin Sorbo's tall, but like, I wouldn't look at him and go, he's huge. He's 6'2".
He's not very broad either.
Yeah, like he's like when he was in Hercules, like he was obviously like built because the role required.
He was in all pretty good shape most of the time for Hercules. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I don't look at him and think huge. Like I say, he's 6'2", which is it's taller than me. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't think that's like really really tall.
Yeah.
I just think that's just like a tall guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how tall are you?
6'2".
Yeah, I mean, you are tall, but like again, like you say, you're not like comically tall. You're not Greek god tall.
I'm not. When you say Greek god, you tend to think of like the marble statues where they're like built like brick shit houses.
Yeah. I don't know. It's far too much, way too much analysing of a phrase that is there just as a cheeky reference.
I know.
Anyway, Dylan then goes on to the intercom to basically tell everyone to bugger off his ship.
Pretty much.
Because just fuck off, basically. And then Gerontex unveils that the whole time he'd had these mercenaries, which are led by a Nietzschean.
Yes.
Who
and that's is the most handsome man I've ever seen in my life.
He is, yes. He's a very pretty man.
I actually looked this up because I was looking up the actor. In 1996, he was named on People magazine's annual list of the 50 most beautiful people.
I totally get that. But it unveils them. Now, you sit there and you go, so you just hired mercenaries? Why were they in like suspended animation on the ship? Why? I know it's for narrative reasons that they wanted to have an unveiling at the end of the episode, that they had a way of dealing with Dylan. But like, in universe, I'm just like, why was the crew not told about the mercenaries? Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Especially considering that Gerontex does have a couple of lackeys that are barely used.
They
appear
at all in the second episode, and that's it.
Yeah.
They turn up out of fucking nowhere.
And so he already has other guys. So the fact that the mercenaries are like hidden is just it's just a storytelling conceit to.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit of a weird one when you think about it in universe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of episode 1. Episode 2 starts up straight afterwards, and it's called An Affirming Flame.
Yes.
Unless you're watching it on Amazon Prime, of course, when it calls it by the name of the first episode.
Yep.
At the start of the episode, you see the Nietzschean and the mercenaries killing all the robots they can find. The Nietzschean's name is Tia Anasazi. He wears a chainmail vest.
Which cannot be comfortable.
Which looks terrible. He's got this really, like, deadpan way of speaking that's just very fun.
I genuinely like the way he's acted and portrayed.
Tia is the show's actual Captain Eugenics, and yet he's the most likable character. I don't know how that happened.
I'll also point out a couple of things I just noticed on his Wikipedia page. He continues to act on stage doing a lot of Shakespeare stuff.
I can see that, yeah.
And he left the Andromeda TV series at the start of the 4th season, citing dissatisfaction over the development of his character.
Okay. I mean, I can't say it surprises me, but yeah, because he's great in the show. There's basically him and Rev are like,
and maybe cool. Andromeda.
I don't like what gets. There's a lot of stuff done with her as it goes on. Even like the handful of episodes I've seen that I was just like, But yeah. But anyway, so Tia gets onto the bridge, finds Dylan, a little bit of a shootout. Dylan escapes into a convenient vent hole.
A Jeffrey's tube, you might say.
Let's not give it that honour. It doesn't have a Matt Jeffries tube. Okay. And so to kind of condense a bunch of what happens in this episode, it's basically Die Hard / Home Alone.
You're not wrong.
But with Kevin Sorbo, like he occasionally takes on one of the mercenaries and like takes them out and like either puts them in like an escape pod which fires out, which
presumably into the black hole.
I mean, it's implied from things we see earlier that these things have presumably like slipstream things, so they can get wherever they need to. So it's presumably not as horrifying as it sounds, and a couple of others he puts into suspended animation.
Yes.
Just to kind of lock them away. One of which he fights is a cyborg lady who... This is not relevant, but I just wanted to point it out because the little fight scene he has with her... it doesn't unveil she's a cyborg until like the first couple of blows, and then because they don't think the audience is very clever, every time she moves you hear a servo whine.
Yeah. Also, like, again, her fight scene with her like doing all these interesting movements along the ground and shit, like on all fours, is cool, but the cuts are fucking terrible.
But anyway, yeah, he takes
also,
her
she
out.
was ADR'd.
There's a lot of ADR in this.
There's at least 2 mercenaries that come to mind that were both ADR'd. And they're just humans. Like, they don't have any prosthetics on.
I mean, maybe. I'll... Having not... I don't remember if the episodes after this kind of, like, introductory one, how they were for this stuff. So it might have just been, they're working out, like, the acoustics on the sets they've built. There's things like that I'm perfectly, like, you give them a bit of a free pass for because, there's things that happen in a show production.
Just before this scene, Trance is talking to that cyborg mercenary, and all I have written is, oh god, Trance is annoying.
Yeah, she's designed to be the kind of like bubbly, ditzy character, and
which is like par for the course in this era of TV.
Yeah, it means that like sometimes she's endearing and sometimes she's annoying.
Yes.
So I think it's got a lot to do with like the individual scene. Like, so I don't even though like objectively she's very annoying sometimes, I don't dislike the character. If you know what I mean?
No. The character is good and actually has some good scenes with Rev Bem and stuff. But yeah.
But anyway, seeing Dylan die hard his way through some of the things, the crew of the Maru start going like, we should. I'm not really sure about this. Like maybe we should, quit.
As far as they knew, it was going to be a ghost ship. Like everyone got away, everything's fine.
Yeah, and they're not super on board with like just going on board someone's ship, murdering them, and then stealing it. Like Gerentex overhears them. There's actually a little line there that I actually really like, where because he overhears them and they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, night," because his race is called Nightsiders.
Yeah.
And he's like, night side of hearing, it's quite good. It makes up for the eyes. Because their eyesight is bad. And I just always kind of like that when they establish that, like...
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of sci-fi that basically has all alien races are humans, but better.
Yeah.
Like, they're humans, but stronger. Or they're humans, but have better eyesight. Or they're humans, but whatever. Whereas, I like it when we're not the average. Like, we're not either the bottom of the pile or what everything is kind of measured against. When it's like, no, some things are better, some things are worse. Aye. Like it's just we just sit somewhere in the melange of different species, and I just think that's cool.
No, yeah, totally. Also, the bad eyesight also confirms my idea that he's a ball man.
True. That is a fair point. So it's a good job that I didn't, because when I initially wrote my notes on paper, I just referred to him as Ratman because I couldn't be bothered to write out Gerentex every time.
I caught his name and then forgot to write it down, so I'm glad you fucking remembered.
Hey, come on! At least that one where I could actually spell. It wasn't like Nietzschean where I had to every time copy and paste it.
Fuck that. Yeah.
I am not writing down Nietzschean more than I have to.
Yeah, but Trans speaks up for herself.
It's like, no, I quit. I'm not going to do this. So Gerentex just shoots her.
And she dies.
She dies. The crew do not take it well, but Gerentex has very big, muscly mercenary men, so they can't really do a great deal about it because also they have guns.
Yes.
So they basically
Good
decide.
moment with Rev Bem there, actually like mourning for trans and everything.
Yeah, he gives trans like the
equivalent of last rites, I guess.
Last rites, which is nice. And then they all kind of go off and they kind of huddle up and away from Gerentex's super hearing.
Yes.
And basically, so we're totally turning on this fucker now, aren't we? And Harper's like, we should use a big bomb, and they're like, no, Harper, and he's like, no, you're right, we should use a bigger bomb.
Yeah.
But they talk him down. And they hatch a plan.
Not only do they talk him down, the Magog, who have been only described so far as heartless, bloodthirsty monsters and horrific creatures, Rev Bem talks him down and says this is a dark road you're going down, one you don't come back from.
Yeah.
Why is he such an interesting character?
And why did they choose to undermine it so much by covering him in pubic hair? It's so distracting.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So they hatch a plan. They don't really give you much information about what their plan actually is, but Harper returns to Gerentex back on board the Maru, which is still docked up with the Andromeda inside its cargo bay. And he agrees to try and hack Andromeda because he's got a port in the back of his neck.
Yes.
That he can latch into and jack in and goes
into
very
Shadowrun sort of thing.
You see, I thought Johnny Mnemonic.
Okay, fine.
But I think that's because I'm trying to vary up the references that are being made here. So
Well, you're fucked with me because I only know a few.
How often do you get a chance to talk about Johnny fucking Mnemonic? But yeah, he jacks in and you go to a digital world that's all year 2000s TV CGI.
Yep.
And then a
green
giant
screen box.
Oh yeah, so it's actually the actor there. But then a giant Andromeda, the physical, the avatar, appears and picks him up, no doubt causing Harper to develop a whole heap of new fetishes.
Yes, this has awoken something in Harper.
And then kicks him out, he gets, an electric shock into the thing in his neck and he gets kicked out. And then Andromeda just tries to hack the Maru right back. Yep. And because she's a super intelligent warships AI, does way better. So they're like, fuck, we need to get out of here. So Gerentex orders them to fly the Maru out of there, leaving Becca, Captain Valentine,
Becca,
Rev, and Tia.
Tia, yeah.
Yeah, leaves them on the Andromeda and fucks off. And then Gerentex uses the Maru, takes over control, and then just boops the Andromeda because the Andromeda doesn't have its engines back yet. Just boops it back towards the black hole. He's just like, oh, I know this might sound petty, but if I can't have it, then no one can. Because there are occasionally, when people go, I don't know how to write this part, so what's the cliche?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like it's one of those lines where it's like, look, just punch it up and say something that isn't that exact line, and it'd be fine. Again, it's the thing with Andromeda. It's not one big issue. It's lots of little issues that will just annoy you all the way through it. The captured mercenaries that are on board. There's a thing before that because there's the three members on board and Dylan basically is all that's left there. Dylan basically unveils himself to them and is like, if we all work together, then we might actually live.
Oh, no, wait, sorry. Before this part, that's when he decides to take action. That's when he goes into the medical bay. Before this part, the two mercenaries that were put in stasis are woken up, and it's like, okay, you can either work with us to get us out of this mess. I think this is Becca talking. And they decide, no, fuck you, we're getting an escape pod. And they get sucked into the black hole and die.
Yeah, we just get to hear their screaming death.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's before like Dylan shows up. Yeah,
because that's what motivates him to finally show up, and that's when Andromeda says, "Oh, I've got a surprise for you, by the way," and it turns out Trance is still alive. Surprise!
Yes, they allude it's because of like the medical facilities in Andromeda, so that it brought her back to life. That's the insinuation.
I didn't get that.
It's implied at that point. They don't outright say it, but it's like said, like because she was put in like the medical bay and like she got better. And given that we're in like because one of the things about the Andromeda is that even though this is 300 years later, the Andromeda, it was like a top of the line ship, and
it was,
and like the galaxy has not developed much since then.
It may have regressed, actually.
Yeah, they're in a bit of a dark ages kind of thing.
Because there is mention of like the rash that Harper has is easily fucking treatable.
Yeah, basically the Commonwealth is the dark age of technology. If you want to get into like Warhammer 40,000 terms.
Yeah.
It's
they literally say long night, which is a term that is used in 40k.
Yeah. So yeah, he unveils, and they basically they agree to join up with Dylan.
Yes.
The three remaining people. Well, say four because Trance is there now as well.
Yes.
They agree to team up with Dylan, and their plan is to fire all 40 of their Nova bombs into the black hole.
At which point, this is when I fell in love with Tyr, when he turns around to Dylan and goes, "You have Nova bombs on board. You have 40 Nova bombs on board. Do you know what you could do with that?" And it's like, oh, these are like, this is bad.
Yeah, like, the Nova bombs are, they're sun killers.
Yes.
Like, each one
has the ability, or has the destructive power to destroy a sun.
Yeah, and it's like okay, sure, and you just sit there and you go like, okay, like let's think about like super weapons in sci-fi, like
Death
being able
Star,
to destroy a planet is bad.
Planet killer.
Being able to being able to destroy a planet is a pretty big thing, and like you go, okay, so the biggest one that's been on screen in Star Wars is like the what's it called Starkiller Base.
Yes, because that could take out a star system.
That could take out a star system, but like there is a little ship that can destroy stars in the old expanded universe.
Oh,
I'm
probably.
pretty sure. But like I think that's about as powerful as a super weapon in terms of pure destructive power. There's some that do wildly weird things like just fuck up an entire planet in really weird ways. But like
again, Star Wars. Sorry, but mass shadow generator springs to mind, but that only affects a planet.
Yeah. So being able to destroy a sun, which would destroy every planet in its system,
it's kind of messed up.
It's pretty big, and this is a ship. Just like I think it's supposed to be like one of their better ships, but it's not. But it's not the only one, and it's got 40
definitely the
of
good
these.
guys, though.
Yeah, we're definitely the good guys, but we just happen to, casually when we're not intended to go on like a war footing, we're just patrolling around. We've got enough power to destroy 40 star systems. The fuck.
Yeah.
It's really messed up. They've apparently
and that's
never
not taking
ever
into
used
account.
them.
That's no. Dylan's never used them.
I'm sure they say that they've never been used. Like
okay.
I interpreted that to be that Nova bombs, like they're this horrifying thing they have, but the Commonwealth has never used them. And considering we're also told they've never been in a war, like you sit there and you go, the implication there is that. Yeah, This
is some like nuclear deterrence theory bullshit.
This is mutually assured destruction, except it's not mutual.
Yeah,
because apparently no one else has.
Take
this
into
power.
account that the Andromeda also has shite loads of point defense guns, torpedoes, laser cannons, drone fighters, drone bombers, God knows what else.
Giant mechs on board that we just are supposed to accept are there.
This
also
is not like you can get away with the Federation having holes poked in it when it's like, look at the amount of power Starfleet has, and you're like, okay, I get it. Starfleet is maybe not the best. This is a whole different level of that.
Yes, this is what if like the Enterprise D had like a fucking
Death
super
Star
laser from the start from the Death Star on it, like what's that for? What's that for?
This exploratory ship has the attack power to destroy galaxies. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, I have heard that there is things that happen later on in the series that do kind of poke holes in the idea that the Commonwealth was quite as good as it's made out, but
I hope there fucking is, because holy hell.
But yeah, at least from what I've seen, they don't really approach that, and it's just, you're just sitting there adding things up and it gets weird. But anyway, so they all work together, which was basically Dylan just needed to give other people the passwords to enter to be able to fire these things. Was really all he needed to do.
The launch codes, effectively.
Yeah. So
they dump all 40 Sunkillers into the black hole.
Yes. Now, I'm not going to... Because we don't know how Nova bombs work, I'm sure one of those wonderful Andromeda novels explains it, but because I've not looked it up and do not care to, I'm not going to try and work out what they would do to a black hole, if anything. Presumably nothing.
I don't think it would create a Big Bang.
Yeah, because what happens is when they fire them all, it creates a white hole, which is the opposite of a Big Bang, the opposite of a black hole, which is a mini Big Bang.
Yes.
Now, white holes are a real thing, and that is a little what they are, but I'm not smart enough to understand the Wikipedia page, so I don't know how accurate Andromeda's version is.
I agree.
So we'll just leave it there. Sci-fi nonsense happens, and basically, rather than being pulled towards
sci-fi nonsense is sci-fi nonsense. It's fine.
Yeah. So rather than being pulled towards the black hole, they're then pushed away by the huge explosion.
Yes.
Which allows, for some reason, allows them to enter slipstream.
I get the vague impression that you need to be at a certain space to efficiently enter slipstream, because it was mentioned earlier as well.
Yeah, I think it gave them the distance to get away from it, to go into it. The Maru also enters slipstream, but Harper, who's of course still on board, sabotages it by pulling out a single cable that means they leave a trail.
Like a 2mm jack plug.
Yeah, he pulls out his iPod, and that apparently leaves an ion trail because the Maru is just that big of a piece of shit. You unplug the stereo, and then suddenly you're leaking coolant. You know.
Oh shit! You pulled out the aux plug. We're leaking fuel everywhere.
like, oh no! Don't do the little cigarette lighter. You'll eject the whole engine manifold.
Christ.
So obviously they've both slipstreamed and gone to different places, but there is a trail to follow, and Becca is like, "Can we go and get my ship? Because I literally can't go anywhere. Like, I'm stuck on your ship now.
Yes.
Like, can we go get the Maru? Because it is kind of
Harper.
Yeah, because I think it is hinted at that that's like her father's ship or something, and like she's paying off his debts. That's said earlier.
Yeah, I did hear about that earlier. We should actually mention that everyone does talk about, all the salvagers do talk about what they're going to do with the share of the money they get from salvaging the Andromeda. And one of them, Harper's like, it's basically just, I'm going to be a sultan with a harem.
I'm going to go to Riser, basically.
Super Riser, though, because it's like unit guards and stuff are spoken about. It's like, what the fuck?
I'm going to go to the biggest fuck planet.
Yeah. Rev Bem wants to make a hospital in one of the planets that the Magog attacked. And Harper is like, yeah, I need to pay off a bunch of debts and I might have enough money afterwards for dinner if I don't buy wine.
Becca.
What the fuck did I say?
Harper.
Whoops.
Sorry. Rashman.
Sorry, Becca.
Rashman.
Yeah. Or Valentine, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
and so she's like, can we go get my ship? And Dylan's like, I'll help you go get your ship on one condition. And they're like, okay, what's the condition? And he's like, I'm not going to tell you yet. Which, red flags all over
an
the
indecent
place.
Proposal sort of idea there. I'm like,
like, you do sit there and you're like, oh, I don't like where this is going. So they find the Maru, like it's a non-issue. They board it. Gerentex's goons, who are irrelevant. They've kind of been in the background in episode 2.
Yeah.
One of them's a human, and the other one is another rat mole person. Except he's wearing like a leather biker cap.
It looks like he was like straight out of one of the really early Judas Priest videos.
I described the character to Snipe. Who I realise, if anyone listens to this who's listening to this out of nowhere, that's my wife, by the way.
Yes.
I described that character as being, it's like the alternate universe Rob Halford, where this one got all the hair.
Hey, now Halford still has a good little beard on him.
Hey, he's got a good beard, but
I know.
Elsewhere, not so much.
Yes.
Yes, it's an interesting look that they chose for this rat man. So they attack, try to take out the crew, and
I do have to make a slight point about this. Within seconds of this, can you get the Maru back? Talk. They are on board the Maru.
Yeah, no, they couldn't be bothered to have any connective tissue there.
No, it's like, oh yeah, our sensors are down, and the next minute they're walking through the airlock. Like, what the fuck just happened in that time?
I mean, it's one of those things where you're like, what would you put there that wouldn't just be spinning the wheels? Like,
the Andromeda catching up fast enough that it can just swallow the Maru into one of the hangars.
Look, they desperately needed to have the fight with the cyborg mercenary so we could hear the servo sounds.
Okay.
They really needed to have that.
Yes.
So they fight Gerontex's goons. Rev just spits poison. Like, he just erupts out of nowhere. It goes into like this horrifying image of him just opening his mouth and just spraying poison into this poor guy's face who's screaming, and everyone like looks and is like, "The fuck, Rev? You're supposed to be the nice one." And he's like,
Rev said he'll get up in a day.
He's like, "Oh, we'll be fine in a couple of hours," and it's like, no.
What the fuck did you just do? I thought you were spitting acid at first.
Yeah, it really looks like he's just spraying acid into some guy's face, and it's like, at the end of the day, like, these guys haven't used like lethal things on them or anything, so like, nicely taking him out, like, but no acid in face. Like he says, it's
poison in face, and it's not painless because that guy is fucking screaming, and there is smoke.
Yeah, so that's straight up, that guy's blind right now. Like,
yeah.
Jesus. It's fucking weird. Gerontex kind of pulls a gun on Dylan and tries to shoot him, but it turns out that Harper had already like stolen a bit out of his gun,
Dylan
so it doesn't work.
To kill Gerontex because he's like, "I'm not going to kill a man in cold blood, and you should get away. You should just leave now. I never want to see you again." And Gerontex is like, "Oh, you're so nice and kind," and haha, pulls out a gun and it doesn't fire.
Yeah, and then he twats him with his phallic staff, just knocking him out. Tia wants to kill him, and Dylan's like, no, what we're going to do is we're going to put him in a life pod, but we're going to sabotage its engines, so it takes him a few months to get home, so he has time to think about what he's done. Which is framed as a merciful action, because the other option is to kill him, but I would argue that is effectively months of solitary confinement in a small box. I am saying that
and how Dylan much Hunt food is in those pods?
Presumably enough, but what I'm saying is that Dylan Hunt is a monster who has no problem with torture when he deems it just.
Yep.
Because, again, that's a don't think about it. But like, it was just one of those things when I'm watching it and I'm like, that's actually really fucked up. Like, you lock someone in a small box for months on their own. That is like legit, like torture. That like psychologically affects people for like the rest of their life. Like, that's really fucked up.
You're not supposed to think about it that deeply, though.
You absolutely not. But it's very. But that's the thing with shows like this. When it's there's lots of little weird things, and so you start noticing them.
Yeah.
But anyway, they with the Maru returned. The crew like going, okay, we need to prepare to leave, and then Dylan's like, well, I need to call in my favor. I just need 10 minutes of your time. So basically he's gonna he's gonna bring them into his multi-level marketing meeting, and he's gonna try and sell them fucking Avon or something.
Scheme. Yeah.
But so they go back to the Andromeda. On the way, they cure Harper of his rash, which apparently would have eaten him alive in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's mentioned like he had probably 5 weeks left, it would have eaten the skin, then muscle, then organs, and just left him as a specifically bleached skeleton.
Which is a lot.
That is a rash and a half.
That's a pretty bad rash, man. And it turns out, because they kind of talk about it, of like, oh, so how did you cure trance? And they're like, and Andromeda's like, I didn't. She was just here, and I was monitoring her, and then she just got better.
Yeah.
Which is apparently just a thing that she hasn't done it before, but that's not out of character for trance, because it's sort of established throughout the thing that no one knows what species she is. She doesn't talk about like her past or anything.
Fucking immortal being or something, probably.
Yeah, she's probably like the Star Child or something. I don't know.
Space Jesus.
Yeah. I've got some vague recollection of someone saying that Sorbo becomes Space Jesus, but
oh god.
But again, I've only seen like the first half of season 1. Maybe I should watch the rest of it.
Maybe we should together, but
maybe
not
we
for
should.
a podcast.
No, I don't want to summarize 5 seasons of this show.
No.
Anyway, they go to like a big nice hall where
the observation deck, I think he says.
Yeah, it's like an observation deck, and Dylan gives a big speech that he knows the Commonwealth is dead, but it stood for something, and he wants to restart the Commonwealth.
It was also a dream, and dreams can't die, and every cliched fucking motivational speech.
And he's like, you should join me, and then, because your lives suck right now, but if you join me, you'll be fighting for an ideal. It's basically a cult. He's asking them to join a cult. There's
some horrible points there where it's going to be a better life than what you have now, and it's like, what's wrong with our lives right now? He's like, oh, because you're going from meal to meal and struggling to survive, and it's like, man, you really look down on these people, don't you?
Yeah, Dylan is a bastard, and he's, like I say, it feels like he's starting a fucking cult, like the way he describes it. And the crew's response is thankfully not so much like, oh my god, this is a great idea. It's more like, we've got nothing better to do. Let's join the crew.
Every set of crew quarters has a shower and fresh coffee every morning.
So yeah, fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
And that's where the introductory story
to
Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda ends.
We should mention Tyr isn't on board at first. So true. Dylan Hunt quotes Nietzsche to him.
Oh, yeah.
Dylan Hunt quotes Nietzsche to the Nietzschean.
Which is... He's like, yes,
carry on.
I see you read good books, and it's like, now, mate...
He fucking does say that, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I've like, mate, I've read some Nietzsche. No! He's not as smart as he thinks he is.
Tyr is the only character I like in this fucking show.
I think it's because he basically spends most of his time like oh shit, what was it? There is a line, and I think it's from like episode 3.
Oh wait,
or maybe 4. Tyr has a line where Andromeda has been like severely damaged, and he says the line which I think summarizes the show in general, which is, if Andromeda were my child, I would drown it.
What? I missed that.
That's from it's from a later episode.
Fucking hell.
It's something like that. He might just say kill it. I can't remember. I don't know if he's specific as to say drown, but he says something like that, and it's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Also, I should mention, Tyr Anasazi is of the Kodiak Prime clan, tribe, whatever one.
Yeah, pride.
Rev fucking...
Because they have prides, because that's the thing.
Kodiak Pride, yeah. And his entire the Kodiak Pride was destroyed, and now he is out to seek glory to prove his genetic strength and purity.
Yeah.
That's why he's a mercenary now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is, because he spends most of his time being a sarky bastard to everyone, but in this really deadpan. He's got quite a kind of this quite calming voice.
Yes. Not legit. The actor's fucking great.
So it's it just has this really fun, he's just a fun character to have on screen. And it's it's just upsetting that the most kind of engaging character there is also big into eugenics.
Fan? Yeah.
It feels like maybe
I
a misstep.
honestly like some maybe this is why the actor left, because I honestly like some character development where maybe he starts to think about eugenics and how fucked up it is.
Yeah, I mean, I do seem to remember they do, as they're going along, they do explore it a bit more. And I'm not going to, obviously, we can't sit there and say we've not seen the whole show. We can't.
No.
we can't say like how characters end up, because we are seeing the start of people's journeys.
Oh yeah,
so...
like I would say that Dylan Hunt could become a good character, but I don't think so.
But yeah, so with those first 2 episodes out of the way, how do you feel about Andromeda? How do you think this is something you would want to watch more of, or is this something that if you saw it, like, say you saw it back at the time? I don't know if you.
I did see it back at the time.
Yeah, did this turn you off, or did this make you want to watch more?
I was young enough to think it was great. Because sci-fi, anything sci-fi when I was young, I would just eat the fuck up. Doesn't matter. Because that was what, I was born in 91, this was 2010. No, sorry, 2000. 2000. So yeah, that gives you an idea what age I was at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was like 14, so I was a bit older, so I was like, this is not great.
And I remember watching bits and pieces, but it's like a fucking vague fever dream at this point.
Yeah. But so how do you feel about it, like, now, having rewatched it?
The ideas it sets out with are good, but they seem to be undermined by certain things, like the Commonwealth doesn't sound all that great when you have fucking sun killers aboard your naval ships.
Yeah, should I actually say my theory?
Actually, yes, please do.
So, my big theory about the Commonwealth, and this is only based off, I think, like the first, like, half of season 1 is, I think, what I've watched. Mm-hmm. And though there are hints of like, you know, the Commonwealth not being this brighter than bright thing, because the Commonwealth is always portrayed, especially by Dylan, as being this like perfect thing, this shining example of a benevolent organization. Mm-hmm. But we see that they have system-destroying weapons that they just routinely have. They have this highly organized military that is kept on ready for a war footing at a moment's notice, and all of this just doesn't really jive with like what we're shown of them being. Oh, their only problem was that they were too good. Like it strikes me of
that quote in the first episode is like,
yeah. I feel my headcanon is that. And I would love it if the future episodes would say that this is actually the case. Let me know if they do, because I'm probably never going to watch the whole series because it's 5 fucking seasons of this shit, and I ain't going to deal with that.
Yep.
I'll do that for Lex, but I won't do it for Andromeda. But that the Commonwealth is based on an outrageous amount of war. And they have done crazy revisionist history with their past.
Yeah, maybe
to cover it up. And the reason that they have this like huge system is that they have just threatened and been warlike with so many of them. But now they've changed, and they've become peaceful. But they completely cover up their warlike roots. Because otherwise, why the fuck would this completely peace-like thing have? Oh yeah, well, we've just developed sun-destroying weapons. We're the only ones that have them, by the way, as well. That doesn't affect balance of like power or anything. Like we treat everyone as equals. I mean, yeah, we can destroy them at a moment's notice, and they know that we can do that. But that doesn't affect our friendship at all. Like, there's no way that you can take all those little factors and just say, they are 100% benevolent. There has to be, like, they are actually monsters. Like, maybe not, like, maybe by the generation that Hunt comes from, they are, like, they all think that they're amazing. It's basically like, you know, when you ask
in the background.
It's like if you ask an average British person about British history. Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, you know, there's some bad parts, but, you know, it's mostly good. And you're like, you should open a history book, mate.
Yeah.
That's my theory about the Commonwealth, is that it's actually a fucking nightmare.
Or at least was in the past. I will do some wiki diving on that to see if you're right at a later date.
Yeah, that could be an interesting thing, but...
there's... The one thing with that is that Roddenberry created the idea of the Commonwealth. And Roddenberry's really fucking weird when it comes to like the ideals of Starfleet and the Utopia thing.
Yeah, he was
human
big on,
Starfleet officers cannot be bad guys.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if maybe he thinks of it in a very black and white term where the Commonwealth might have had all the big weapons, but they were the good guys because I wrote them that. It's like, nuance is important.
Yeah, it might have just been, things from the time. Because, of course, like, Roddenberry wasn't around to actually flesh his, like, basic idea out into a functional world, so...
And we only started getting the real shades of grey in the Federation when we hit, like, Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
When Roddenberry wasn't writing, or didn't have much of a hand in it.
Yeah, so, like... I do think that's probably got something to do with it, that the presentation of the Commonwealth is, like, from the original treatments and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe. But yeah, so are you going to watch any more Andromeda?
Honestly, I might.
Do you want to see where it goes?
Yeah, also, my idea of watching it would be having it in the background while I do, like, dailies in the Old Republic.
That's actually fair. I think that's, like, those kind of, like, sci-fis are often quite good to consume like that anyway. Like,
because, like, visually it's not all that interesting. I'm not going to miss much by playing a game and not looking at it.
Yeah, that's harsh but fair.
And I don't mean, like, oh yeah, the special effects, but no, the direction's not great. Like, head-on shots of Kevin Sorbo looking... perturbed
Smug.
is not, well, yeah, or just generally perturbed isn't that great. Because he can't emote. So yeah, what about you, Wibble?
I do kind of want to watch more, but that's because that's out of morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
Because I am intrigued to see if they because, like, as we say, there's, like, little bits here and there that have some good about them. Like, there's an interesting idea in there.
Yeah, like Rev Bem is an interesting idea.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued to see what happens as time goes on. Like, with
I'm pretty sure
things.
there's an episode where he goes feral again.
That, I mean, yeah, that would not surprise me at all.
That's bound to happen when you've got a peace-loving sage-like character, though, isn't it?
Yeah. They have to do that, because, otherwise what's the point? What's the point in having that? You've got to show the difference. It doesn't matter that you've seen it in literally every sci-fi and fantasy that's done that. But yeah, so I do have one final thing to mention.
Okay.
Which is that through the use of the Wayback Machine, you can still find the Sci-Fi Channel's website. I mentioned
when it's spelled correctly.
When it the Sci-Fi Channel website for Andromeda, and I just want everyone to know that if you really, really, really want a wallpaper, an 800 by 600 wallpaper of Kevin Sorbo looking smug, you can absolutely get that from the Wayback Machine.
Amazing.
So that if you really want that, that's that. So. Unless you have anything more to say about Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda.
Not his finest work. An interesting piece, but not his finest work.
Yeah. I think that's a fair way. It's one of those things where it's like, if it just lasted a season, I'd be like, okay, fair enough. It didn't really work, but, like,
it's good that it's like I would say, if anyone's genuinely curious, go give it the first 2 episodes a watch, and remember, on Amazon Prime, they're flipped around the wrong way. Give them a shot. But we're not looking at a Farscape or another sort of not as mainstream sci-fi show here. Like,
yeah, I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe, like, because you think how many first seasons of things are kind of bad.
Yeah,
like that's like the norm of Star Trek. So
Yeah, the first 2 seasons are always bad.
I mean, Star Trek the animated series first season is okay.
You're the only motherfucker I know that's watched that, though.
It's a show that exists.
Yes, it is.
It does have Maress and the other alien on the bridge, though. I always forget the other one. He's got, like, 3 arms.
Oh yeah.
So that's a thing.
That's fun.
Next time we're not going to be looking at a series. We haven't decided exactly on which movie, but we're going to be watching a movie.
Yes.
And
which I think may actually be easier to talk about rather than 2 episodes of a show for some reason.
Yeah, even though it will be about as long.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to talk about a kaiju movie. We have not yet picked it, and we should have a guest along with us. So
yes, and we're
that
also
should
going
be
to pick a kaiju movie no one's going to fucking think of. So don't attempt to predict.
Also, we should hopefully have a name for the podcast by then for the intro. I mean, there should hopefully be one by the time this goes up. One would hope. The only name that I've had come into my head is a reference to what my granddad used to call Star Trek.
Okay.
He used to call it the show with the men with funny heads. So I kind of want to call the podcast Men with Funny Heads.
You know what? Actually, yeah, that's perfect. Because I can see some like art for like the preview image of just like the two of us with like a stupid fucking shape in our forehead.
Like I can do you as like I'll get you done as like a Klingon, and I can be.
Oh no! We're not talking about good makeup. We're talking about literally like a fucking cardboard diamond on our head.
Okay, good. All right. We'll see how it goes. I'll since that's apparently we've now decided like my stupid idea, and you're like, okay, cool, that's what we're doing. Unless we decide that's a bad idea before this goes live, and you'll see whatever the name was.
Yes.
So if people wish to find you on the internet, Mr. Longfang, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Longfang91, and you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Longfang91. I'm very easy to find and well branded.
Yes. I am Wib, and I am on the Snipe and Wib YouTube channel, as well as my own YouTube channel, which is Wib Does Stuff, and you can find me on Twitter at Wib Does Tweets.
Yes.
And I'm very sorry for anything you may see on any of those.
And you also have a Twitch channel.
Oh yeah, I do have a stream on twitch.tv/Snipe and Wib.
There you go.
There's a lot of links. There's technically a Facebook page, but who the fuck uses Facebook anymore?
Fair.
And so with that, we will bid you good day, and thank you for bearing with this pilot episode. Let us know what you think about it. If there's anything that we could do better, which I presume is everything.
Yes.
But yeah. Anything to say before we go to? I don't know why I wanted to like insinuate before the listeners go to bed. I don't know why, but
watch sci-fi, be critical about it, enjoy it, talk about it, debate things in a fun way. Just enjoy yourselves, everyone.
Yeah. That's a good way to leave it. So goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
And take care.